The air in the clearing was heavy with the scent of WindClan and RiverClan. Fireheart felt a tremor of anxiety. In just a few moments he was going to have to stand on the great rock and address these cats. There was no sign of ShadowClan. Had the sickness taken such a firm hold that they couldn't make it to the gathering? A pang of pity for Whitethroat reminded Fireheart of Tigerclaw and of the terror in the young warrior's eyes as the massive cat loomed at the edge of the Thunderpath. Suddenly his paws itched to mount the great rock and warn the other clans about the dark warrior's presence in the forest. Fireheart! One Whisker bounded up to Fireheart's side. He felt a flicker of surprise at One Whisker's friendly purr. The last time he had seen a WindClan cat it had been Mudclaw screeching angrily away into the heather, but One Whisker clearly hadn't forgotten how Fireheart had brought his clan back from exile. The two warriors had grown close on that journey, and both cats still valued the bond they had forged. "Hi, One Whisker," Fireheart greeted the brown tabby. "You better not let Mudclaw see you talking to me. Truce or no truce, we didn't part on very good terms last time we met." "Mudclaw takes pride in defending his territory," replied One Whisker, shifting uncomfortably from paw to paw. He'd obviously heard about the two attacks on ThunderClan cats in WindClan territory. "Maybe," Fireheart admitted, "but that's no excuse for turning Bluestar away from Highstones." He found himself wishing Bluestar had been able to share with StarClan at the Moonstone that day. Things might be very different now if she had received some assurance that her warrior ancestors had not turned against her. Tallstar wasn't happy when he heard about that. Even if you were sheltering Broken-Tail, it was no excuse. Broken-Tail was dead by then, Fireheart interrupted him, regretting his tone when he saw One Whisker's ears flicking uncomfortably. "I'm sorry, One Whisker," he meowed more gently. "It's good to see you again. How are you?" "Fine," answered One Whisker, looking relieved. "I'm sorry to hear about the fire. I know how bad it is for our clan to be driven from its home." His eyes met Fireheart's sympathetically. "We've returned to our camp and we've rebuilt it best we can. It won't be long before the forest recovers." Fireheart tried to sound confident. "I'm glad to hear it," One Whisker meowed. "You know, it's as if we've never been away from our camp now. There have been plenty of kits this Greenleaf, and Morningflower's kid is here as an apprentice, at his first gathering." Fireheart remembered the tiny wet bundle of fur he had helped to carry through the rain out of the Two-Leg territory and back to the WindClan's home. He followed One Whisker's gaze across the clearing to a young brown Tom. Although small, like the rest of his clan, the apprentice's muscles were already lean and well developed beneath his short, thick fur. Fireheart noticed One Whisker suddenly dip his head. He turned to see Tallstar approaching them. The WindClan leader looked at Fireheart with narrowed eyes. "We've been seeing a lot of you lately, Fireheart," he remarked. "Just because you once led us home doesn't give you the freedom to wander around our territory." "So I've been warned," replied Fireheart. He forced himself to stay calm, keeping his resentment at Bluestar's treatment out of his voice. After all, the gathering was held under a truce, and this was a warrior he had learned to respect on their journey together through Two-Leg territory. The Fireheart held the black and white leader's gaze and meowed firmly. "However, I must put the needs of my clan first." Tallstar's eyes glittered back at him, then he gave a tiny nod. "Spoken like a true warrior, having traveled with you. I wasn't surprised when Bluestar made you her deputy." The WindClan leader glanced around the clearing and added, "There are those who thought such a young cat would never carry off such a great responsibility. I was not among them." Fireheart was taken aback. He hadn't expected such a compliment from the leader of WindClan. He stifled a delighted purr and nodded his thanks. "Where is Bluestar?" asked Tallstar. "I can't see her among your cats." His voice was casual, but his eyes betrayed a keen interest. "She's not feeling well enough to travel yet," Fireheart answered lightly. "Was she injured in the fire?" "And nothing she won't recover from," Fireheart meowed, hoping with all his heart that he was telling the truth. Beside him, One Whisker looked up sharply. Fireheart followed his gaze to the slope on the other side of the valley. 3 ShadowClan cats were charging into the clearing, Running Nose at the head. Fireheart felt a glimmer of relief as he recognized one of the 2 warriors behind the gray and white medicine cat, and Little Cloud, clearly recovered from the sickness, thanks to Cinderpelt. The other clan cats backed away from the ShadowClan warriors as they skidded to a halt in front of the great rock. News of their disease had obviously spread through the forest. "It's all right," Running Nose mewed, panting as if he could read their minds. "The ShadowClan is free of the sickness. I have been sent ahead to tell you to wait before you begin the meeting. ShadowClan's leader is on his way." "What makes Nightstar so late?" called Tallorstar from Fireheart's side. "Nightstar is dead," answered Running Nose bluntly. A stunned ripple spread through the other cats like a breeze through the trees, and Fireheart blinked. How could the ShadowClan leader be dead? He had only recently received his 9 lives. What a terrible sickness! No wonder Little Cloud and Whitethroat had been so afraid to return to their camp. "Is Cinderfer coming instead?" Whitestone called, referring to the ShadowClan deputy. Running Nose looked at his paws. Yennefer was one of the first to die of the sickness. "Then who is your new leader?" demanded Crooked-Star, emerging from the shadows on the other side of the great rock. Runnynose glanced at the River Clan leader. "You'll see for yourself soon enough," he promised. "He'll be here shortly." "Excuse me," Fireheart murmured to Tallstar in one whisper. "There's something I must share with Runnynose." Fireheart padded to where the Shadow Clan medicine cat stood, surrounded by warriors and apprentices, all anxious to discover who Shadow Clan's new leader was. He wondered how the old cat would react to hearing about Yellowfang's death. Runnynose had seen so much death lately that perhaps it wouldn't mean much to him anymore. Fireheart felt he should break it to him privately before he made an announcement from the Great Rock. After all, Yellowfang had trained Runnynose when she had been Shadow Clan's medicine cat. The bond between the two cats must have once been very close, if only for the short time before Broken Tail drove Yellowfang out of her clan. Fireheart signaled with his tail to the Shadow Clan medicine cat. Runnynose looked relieved to be leaving the circle of inquiring faces as he followed Fireheart to a quieter spot beneath one of the oaks. "What is it?" he asked. "Yellowfang's dead," Fireheart meowed gently, feeling a fresh thorn of sorrow drive itself into his heart. Runnynose's eyes clouded with grief. The gray and white Tom bowed his head as Fireheart went on. "She died trying to save a clanmate from the fire. SharkClan will honor her bravery." Runnynose didn't reply, just swung his head slowly from side to side. Fireheart felt his own throat tighten with sadness, but he couldn't afford to let grief overwhelm him here. He touched the Tom's head with his nose and padded quickly away. The rest of the cats were beginning to weave anxiously around one another, their mews growing louder. "We can't wait any longer," Fireheart heard a River Clan warrior mutter to his neighbor. "The moon will be setting soon." "If the new leader is going to be late, that's his problem," Muzfur agreed. Fireheart knew the real reason for her keenness to get on with the meeting and return to camp. With Tiger Claw loose in the forest, none of the clans were safe. He saw a flash of white fur at the center of the clearing as Tallstar leapt onto the great rock. He had obviously decided to start the meeting without Shadow Clan's leader. Crooked-Star started toward the rock. Fireheart braced himself, ready for his first gathering as the head of a clan, and desperate to warn other cats about the threat that lurked in the woods. "Good luck." Fireheart felt Sandstorm's breath ruffle his ear fur. He turned and gently touched her warm cheek with his muzzle, knowing that their quarrel had been forgotten. Then he threaded his way through the other cats toward the great rock. He was stopped in his tracks by a yowl called from the slope behind him. "He's here!" Fireheart turned and saw Darkstripe craning his neck beside him, but their view was blocked by the other cats, peering and rearing up on their hind legs to get a look at the Shadow Clan's new leader as he passed through the crowd. Darkstripe's ears suddenly pricked with surprise. The striped warrior was staring up at the great rock, his eyes glittering with barely suppressed excitement. Fireheart twisted his head to see what had prompted such a strong reaction from his clanmate. Framed by the cold light of the moon, Fireheart saw the powerful shoulders and broad head of a cat who had leapt onto the rock beside Tallstar. The other leader seemed puny and frail beside this massive figure. With a cold shiver of dread, Fireheart realized the new leader of Shadow Clan was Tiger Claw.